computer. Hi, everyone. I'm Saleha, and this is Chai, Chat, and Community. Today, we're having a very special conversation, and I'm joined by my friends and co authors from all over the world. Gathered here from different parts of the world are my fellow co writers from the She Writing Group. Every year, we come together to write for a cause. And this year's book feels especially close to all of us. She Dares is a collection of stories about women who find themselves in the middle of a storm, whether that's a quiet one at home or a loud one in the world, and how they use grit, resilience, and deep seated belief to find their way out. Today is no ordinary chat. We are here for a kitchen table chat about why we pick up the pen in the first place and share a few glimpses into the lives of the women we have created. Let's begin. And I start with Brinda, who's joining us from
Switzerland.
Hi,
Yes.
Brinda. Tell us
Yeah,
about
so
yourself.
hi. Thank you very much, Saleha, for giving us this opportunity to share our motivation. Hi, I'm Brindarika Bose, Brinda from Switzerland, and my story is driven by darkness in She Dares book. So, this story is about a protagonist, Bindu, who travels to India. And like many of us, she goes to a blouse stitching shop, and a conversation starts with three, four women from different categories. And we get to hear about their She Dares moments, how they find strength in the middle of fear, in the middle of failures. So that's all my story is about, and I'll read a bit about it a bit later, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Chris,
Hello everyone. First of all, two thanks in order. First is for Saleh for having this platform, and to Saleh again for giving me this opportunity because I'm joining this amazing cohort for the very first time. I'm joining from Melbourne. I'm Dr. Chris Malikabhadra, and the story that I have penned down is named by Delhi, the Daredevil Daughters. This story takes its roots from one unfortunate night that happened in the year 2012 when one of Delhi's daughters was unfortunately taken to a lot of brutality. And that's where I draw the story from. That's how I've put Delhi as a mother and how she drew her strength and how she dared to live on. And I'll read the expert later on. So that's all my story is about. Thank you, Saleh.
thank you, Chris. Kanchana,
Hi, thank you again to Saleha for inviting me. And yeah, again, like Chris, Saleha is the reason that I'm part of this wonderful, wonderful group. I've been writing for a long time, but what motivated me to join the She group is what their mission is to be a voice for women all over the world. And my story in She Dares is unique in the sense that my protagonist is very, very young. It's not only the age, but also her personality. She's soft and sweet. The story is called Search Me Too, and it is based on real events that happen in New York City. I am also having a mug of the New York City, drinking my chai and chatting, and I will read and talk more about it a little later. It's wonderful to be part of this group.
thank you, Kanchana. Radhika,
Hi everyone, I'm Radhika Singh based in Kolkata, India. And like everyone else, I too am extremely grateful to Saleha.
oh
She
my
brought me
gosh.
into this group, and I've enjoyed being part of this group for so many years now. My story is called A Gift from Richard this year, and I am the protagonist of the story. It's actually a recollection, a kind of customized recollection of an experience that I had as a very young girl. And, it kind of changed my life. It was for me the moment when I transitioned from the age of innocence to becoming somebody very different. It shaped the direction, and everything in my life changed. And it actually affected my mental health in a way that I look back on with amazement. Actually, I'll tell you more about it when I read the story, but that's my story.
Regina?
Hi, I am Regina Sadhu, and I'm signing in from Switzerland. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Saleha, for giving us the opportunity to be here. So, my story in this book of She Dares is something where I wanted to show how role models quietly but powerfully shift internal boundaries. There doesn't need to be thorough confrontation, but through recognition slowly and subtly. So there could be a path breaking moment in their lives. It could be much, much earlier in their life, but that's the moment that drives the rest. So my story's title is Beyond the Whispers of the Urumi. It has flavors of the land that is Kerala, from where my parents come from, which I associate with. And I hope when I read the story, it brings in the point that I would like to make as well. Thank you.
Shiklaji, our very own Shiklaji.
Thank you, Saleha, for this group collection that you have managed of the international writers. And I'm feeling very proud to be part of this group. Well, the title of my story is Pulvanti Pediatric Hospital. And I was interested in this time when the title came, She Dares. So I thought that in the previous titles, I've been writing stories from my own family background. But this time I felt that I must write fiction. So when I thought of fiction, immediately, simultaneously, the She Dares came in front of my eyes. And then I realized that there's so much of girl child infantile killing. So I should write about that. And so the story is completely fictitious, but it is very true to reality. And every other day, I find some news item where a child has been saved, buried in the mud. And my story is linking very much to that. The rest of the thing, my protagonist is Pulvanti and her mother's friend, Lajo Masi. But they become actually the portion that I will be reading. There will be 4 women who dared to break the iron wall of social taboo, and one is negative, and the other 3 are positive. So we shall read later.
Thank you, Shiklaji. Tista?
Good morning from the United States, eastern coast of the US. I'm Tista Ghosh, and it's really such a privilege to be among you all. And thanks, Saleha, again for encouraging us to come together and share our thoughts from across the world. My story is called The Crazy Women, and I am an academic by profession, and I teach about women's movements in the context of democratization. And I learned about this extraordinary group of women in Argentina in the late 70s, and they decide to get together to confront a military dictatorship at that time, because the dictatorship had abducted their young children. Yet they were young adults, and nobody heard about them after they're taken forcibly from their homes. So these women, these extraordinary women, they came to be known later on as mothers of the Plaza de Mayo. They got together and they decided to confront the dictatorship using novel ways. And some of the methods that they used were inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. So that's the background of my story, The Crazy Women. And I'm going to read a little bit of the story to you.
Thank you,
I'm
Tista.
going to interrupt a little bit here, Saliha, because I just came back from Buenos Aires in Argentina just a week ago. And I actually got to see, I did think of it, I would have put up the picture otherwise, of these the mothers, and it is engraved in the floor of these mothers that started the movement, and patiently thousands of them waited at the square. I will try to search for it and put it up later on, and that is the inspiration for your story. So I just wanted to add that it was a very heartwarming and emotional moment for me when I saw the picture of the mothers, which is still engraved.
Yes.
Thanks, Kanchana. Vinita, okay, I'll go after you.
Sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Vanitha. I'm calling in from Melbourne in Australia. And my story is called Sarah's Dream. This is the fourth story that I've written in a She book. Thanks largely to Tista. So, for a change, I'll thank Tista for introducing me to this group. My story, I'm very interested in mental health right now. And my story is about reinvention and daring to reinvent yourself. I think as women, particularly from the Indian diaspora, we're taught that we must change ourselves in order to please others and to fit in with society. But my story is about someone who actually dares to change her own story without changing her identity. So a little bit of that later on. Thanks.
Thanks, Vinita. So my story is called Everybody Dance Now. My protagonist is a young girl who moves from India to regional Victoria in Australia, and the loneliness that she faces. And this is something I have seen firsthand when language becomes a problem and they don't have any friends. It's how she's overcome her journey and become what she is today. Taken loosely from somebody I know, but yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I'll read a small paragraph later on when we're talking about it. So here's a question, not a question. Well, I'll open it to everybody. So, we talk about she. How did she come about? And sorry, I should also thank Tista, because Tista introduced me to the group one fateful morning when when she called me out from States, and then I got to meet Brinda, and the rest, as we say, is history. So, Brinda, you and Tista being one of the founders here, do you want to give a little bit of a background about she, and then we talk about how the story is framed and how we decide what the theme is going to be.
Sure. Thank you, Saleha. So we started the She Writers Group 9 years ago. The idea behind was we wanted to give a platform, a creative platform to the female voice, especially. And personally, I believe very much in creative activism, which means creative arts, writing, dance. I mean, all these things, they have a very strong capability to shift how people think in a very positive way. So we do not need to go to the streets always, but we can influence a mind by an art or a write-up. So we started this project, and Regina was part of the founding group as well. We started this project in Zurich, and I reached out to some of my friends whom I knew they had a strong voice in the sense that they felt strongly about women's issues all over the world. And then we just spread across the world. Basically, we have 45, 50 women from different professional backgrounds, sharing their own inspiration, sharing the inspiration or stories that they are seeing live. I mean, that's very important. It's fiction, but based on contemporary life. I think that's the important part. And we are raising issues which is affecting us, which is affecting women who are younger than us, who are older than us. Mental health, for example, Saleha, you mentioned, it's a very vital topic nowadays. So we are bringing all these real themes into our stories. And every year, democratically, we discuss, and then decide which theme we should go for. Everything is decided as a group. I mean, this is the power of women, collective decisions, right? All of us through WhatsApp, we are working together, and with a common theme that we want everyone, not just women, but men, women, and everyone to have a better society, in fact, through this creative activism. So we have different themes, and She Dares with 16 women. The focus is on courage, right? Thank you.
It
Anyone
does.
else wants to add something? Please go ahead.
I joined the group a year later, and Shumona Ghosh, she was one of the founders of the She platform. She introduced me, and after that, there's been no looking back for me. She has it's it's all of you are like family to me now, and I really kind of draw a lot of strength and inspiration from all of you, and uh, many of you do so much of philanthropy. So you have your professions, you have your families to look after, and you find time. Brinda, Saleha, Shimona, you, Kanchana, reaching out internationally to help whenever you can, wherever you can. Um, so it's been Abhilasha. It's been an extraordinary journey, and we have just kind of we don't have any kind of a set agenda, and it's interesting to see that when you give women the autonomy, uh, we can do so many things in so many different ways, and we have branched off into many different directions. We have used the She platform to talk about these issues in different ways. So that's quite amazing, and I'm sure we will find innovative ways to do the same in the future. Thanks.
Radhika does a lot of pro bono work with animals.
I do,
Yeah,
but
of course.
Can I just tell you how I came into the She Network? It was very interesting. So I've always loved writing, from when I was a child of 4 or 5, I've been writing, but never in a professional way, So I would write anywhere in little pieces of notebooks, or, in my classroom when the teacher was teaching, I'd be doodling away a story, things like that. But then one day I just used to write sporadically on Facebook in those days. And then one day Saleha came, got in touch. Please excuse the barking dogs. Can't stop them, but Saleha got in touch and said, can we use one of your stories? And I did. And that's how my first story, Kidnapped, came into She. And you know what? I'll always be grateful to the She Network for giving me this platform, which then encouraged me to actually become a full-time professional writer. My first book, Adventures of Appa, was published by Bose Creative Publishers later. And I've been a contributor to all of the She series books every year since then. And I so love this group and so love all of you. It's such a pleasure to engage with you. As Brinda said, we work on WhatsApp, and so democratically and so beautifully, between Gmail, Google Workspace, and WhatsApp, we've actually been bringing out one book a year, which is quite a fantastic achievement if you think about it. I mean, other people make such a big fuss about these. And we just
And all women working together cohesively.
All women working together from across the world, it's quite a great achievement. And I don't think we've quite understood as yet what it is that we've achieved with this group, So I've really loved it, and I'm looking forward to more of these, doing more and expanding the scope of our work as well.
I'd like to add something that you brought up, Radhika, that is across the world, and I truly appreciate that. We are right now, today, we are from really across the world, truly international, from all the way from California to Australia, with Europe and India in between, and we represent so many countries. I also would like to give a big shout out. Mine is coming out not nicely, so someone can hold up the book. That this picture was really appreciated by everyone that I have talked to. We have representation of women over the world, as well as the daring image and a beautiful painting by Brinda herself. So I just want to point out that this is also representing the truly global nature of what we represent and what we do, because issues are everywhere in different forms, slightly different forms, but it is omnipresent everywhere. And I'd just like to give a shout out to Brinda for the picture.
Thank you so much. Saleha, if I may just quickly add with
Of
She
course.
Dares, because we had a book launch also in Switzerland 2 weeks ago, on 8th of March, actually. And from the book sales and also from creative activism from our artists exhibition, we generated 500 francs, which today I transferred to an NGO, Vimukti, as you all know. So it's also not just the way we are influencing how people think, how people react when they are encountered with fear or something else. It's also the influence we are bringing in terms of these projects that we are supporting in Nepal, in Gaza. I mean, Saleha, you have been supporting so many Doctors Beyond Borders, these projects, Saleha, Vinita. Then in the US, also the same thing you are doing. Kanchana, you have been also in Bolivia, you did the same thing. So we are the profit that we get from our book sales. We are donating, and this is really also affecting, having a positive impact in the society.
I should
Thank you,
jump in
Brinda.
here and
Yeah.
say that I have been very fortunate. I sold all my books, sending money to Global Medical Foundation. I was going to do it today, but anyway, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Some of my friends have given $100. Some of them have given more. I would say at least 5 of them have given me extra money. So what I've decided is the friends who have given me extra money, more than what I had requested, I'm going to 50% of what they're giving me, I'm going to send to India. I support People's School in Delhi. So they are for what we in Delhi call Jhuggi Chopri kids. And one of the girls, she needs a rickshaw because she's got, what has she got? Anyway, she cannot walk. I don't want to talk about what she's got. She cannot walk to school. So the school requested if I can pay for her rickshaw for an entire year. And I'm going to send that money off also tomorrow. So, without generous buyers, without generous friends who do not question, do not ask where you're sending the money, the fact that we can do all of this, this is a big shout out to them. Such a big shout out. Yeah, and my buyers are across, they're not just Indians, they're people from different countries. And this is so good of them to buy books which are predominantly, which is written by Indian women. It's not that, So big shout out to them.
I mean, as per our model, I mean, it's not just one NGO we are supporting. Those NGOs which we personally vouch for, we are supporting them. That way, it's really spread across different projects, right? So, which is great. And also people who are volunteering, it's not only money that people are donating, the time and the expertise. I would like to mention here, Ashwati, Shumona, those who don't even have a story, but the time they're investing in supporting the project is great. Thank you so much, all of you.
I'm going to ask Shuklaji something. So Shuklaji, for many in the Indian diaspora, our stories are often carried in secret, like yours. So what is the one truth you felt you had to put on paper and share with our readers?
The very fact that it is on, the theme is the girl child infantile. It has been bothering me so much. How can people be so cruel? And the fact is that when your mother is a woman, how did you come on earth? And you know that in Haryana, there is a village where there are so many men that they can't get women for marriage.
Yep.
And do you know that they're importing them from Calcutta? The poor women. They don't know the language. And you know that business of selling women? So through that. But that is not what I came to sort of express. The fact is that when, as I said before, that the word She Dares was the trigger. And as a writer, today I'm talking as if I'm a very professional writer, which though I have to accept that I've written novels and poems and short stories and articles. But the fact that I joined you people, this group, is from my remarks on Facebook in Calcutta Bonds. And that's where it caught the fancy of my very respected people, including Saleha. So my daughter Sonia, she's on the admin side. So she said, suggested that, how about my mother? They said, of course, why not? So that's how I came to join the group, this She group. But frankly speaking, when I joined, when it was 4 books, this is the 4th one, 3 books away. So at that time, I genuinely didn't realize the huge global impact that this little group at the moment, I think it's a drop in the ocean, is making. And then gradually, when I read and reread the purpose behind this group, then it dawned on me how lucky I was. And now to say that when I write the book or write a story, to be very frank, it is like a dam burst. Right from day one, I'd never dreamed that I would be a writer. But I used to envy or admire writers. How do they do it? I don't know how do they do it. And I feel that subconsciously it was working so much that it took 80 years for me to follow my stream of consciousness and start writing. And those novels that I've written and the poems that I've written and short stories I wrote were within a year and a half. It took some time for them to be published and bring out. But actually, just in that short time, I wrote so much. Okay, now coming to this title today, She Dares. The fact I loved the title because it was such a trigger. And I loved the way it was, it came to me, it hit me. And it was that around me, then again, Haryana, it is very rampant over there. I know that there are other cities also and states also in India, but somehow Haryana seems to be the hub where there are the girl-child infantile system is very prevalent and where the bridegrooms can't find a bride. So today I will be reading a portion after having introduced that, as Saleha said, I'm from India and from Delhi. I forgot to tell you that. So we will be listening to each other and then I will read my story. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shukla ji. Anyone else who wants to talk about their book? And what was the one truth?
Point out in general that She Dares is about courage and overcoming obstacles, but we talk a lot about how strong women are. I personally don't like the word strong because I always feel you don't know how not strong we are. We just have to be strong because not by choice, but because we have no other choice. Yeah. So I just want to point out also what we have not written about in this book is we wrote about the courage and the acts of daring, but the trauma and the toll and the price we pay for those even single acts, even if it does not seem a big deal to others, the psychological trauma lasts forever, even in simple acts of courage where there are stories in the book, not mine, that it's just simple talking, standing up to authority figure, someone higher in rank than you. Even that simple act causes a huge amount of mental stress and trauma, which is lifetime. And I don't know, we are almost out of time. So maybe, Saleha, you can think about us reading the excerpts, not reading the excerpts, or just having some concluding remarks or
I think
however you
we'll
want
do
to
the
do it.
reading in another episode,
Yeah.
like we've been doing it earlier. But I would like to hear how, when you couldn't carry on, when your page was blank, what motivated you to continue writing? All
I
right.
might go
Saleha?
first instead of going last. I might just go first, Saleha, and
It's
quickly say
yours.
something here.
All yours.
Uh,
Yes.
So this title of She Dares, really, the person who inspires me most is my mother. As a disabled person coming from India, moving into a new country like Australia, where she didn't speak the language, didn't know anyone, the courage that she showed in bringing her family and daring to be herself in her own identity with her bindi and her, salwar
Fantastic.
kameez and going out into the streets and being proud of her culture. I think that to me is real daring. And the one last thing I'd say is that, look at all of us from all parts of the world. Half of us are at war with each other in terms of the countries, yet here we are all together and standing for women and for their families as well. So I think that in itself is another thing, Brinda, and all of us should be really proud of.
Absolutely.
Vinita, may I go next? I just wanted to say that when I was going through the stories in the book, the She Dares reminded me that most acts of bravery happen in ordinary moments. Saying
Absolutely.
no when it would be easier to comply, speaking up without knowing the outcome, choosing alignment over approval. These stories show that courage is not the absence of fear. I think this is the most important thing that we need to know, and we want to communicate to our readers and whoever will be influenced by this book. But the willingness, it is not the absence, but the willingness to move with it, and that even a single well-placed act of daring can ripple far beyond the moment. I think this is the kind of thing that we who are sitting across the world, we come together. And I wanted to do a shout out to Brinda and the Bose Creative Publishers for being such a backup for us and helping us bring this book every year so that we can drive a change in many different ways. So that's a big thank you.
Yes, I second that. And
Sorry, Saleh, I know we're out of time, just very quickly. I think I'll fall in line with what Shuklaji said. My story is mostly related to the incident that happened in Delhi in 2012. And it comes out of that pain. And so many times, anything happens to a woman, we often hear ourselves asking, what was she doing? Or she should not have gone there. So that narrative has to constantly change because not only it is trauma, it impacts you as an individual. I mean, if I ask randomly 5 people, I think out of 4 women will say they have been harassed and they have been blamed for being harassed. So that narrative, that agency had to change, and that is why I had to put that on the paper to see it was not her fault that night. It was
absolutely.
not just because she was there, did not mean she
Women
had
are
to be.
easy to blame. So easy to blame all over the world. And I have to say something that, when writing for me, because that is also my daytime job, can be very exhausting for me. And when I was writing my story, I know what I wanted to write. I've worked with international students who have traveled to Australia for the first time in their lives, sat on an aeroplane for the first time, don't know the language, don't have friends, loneliness. And then if they are married, then it is worse because they have no friends. They've left everything behind. And for many, the husbands are away trying to make ends meet. They're barely there. And I kept wondering what I wanted to write, whether it was a good story, whether it's not a good story. But I kept thinking about mental health and what the students, when I was working at the university, used to come and talk to me. I'm no counselor. They would just chat with me. And then I remembered my mother's aunt story, like I told you guys before. She was born more than 100 years ago, and her husband left her the day she was married and never came back. And her life was the saddest that I have seen. She was unhappy, yet she continued. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, looked after her for as long as she was alive. And we never talked mental health. We still don't talk mental health. And I just feel that if there's one thing we really, really need to talk about, it's mental health. And it sounds a bit filmy, but there was a day when I was just looking at the computer thinking, what am I going to write next when this call came, and this woman said to me, I did it. That's all that she said to me. I did it. And I continued. I think it's these small stories of women being able to, tiny steps, and always the small steps make a lot of difference. Lisa, we haven't heard from you before.
So, the word dare, it's a call for action. And, when we are feeling kind of overwhelmed by events, you are constantly bombarded with so many negative stories in the media, and you feel helpless, you feel alone. And then you reach out for these stories and you read about women who have confronted their trauma in so many different ways, and they have done something about it. So, and this is a message that has to be repeated ad nauseum. Sometimes I feel that, just to rest on our laurels and say, okay, we've achieved so much, we've made progress. That's not enough, because the same issues keep coming back over and over again. When I was growing up, I guess I was naive and I was idealistic, and I would think that, society is on a path, and this is a straight unilinear path. We are progressing every day, but it's not. And so we have to be at it constantly. So that's that's a takeaway, my takeaway from working with all of you and writing these stories on a regular basis.
Last words, Radhika, before we wrap up. I loved your story, and I'm always so honored to edit it. Just love it.
No, the honor is it's my good luck that all of you are there with me on this journey. Can I just say that a shout out to all of our writers who are not here with us today on this platform. People like Shreyoshi and you, Tista. I really am grateful for the energy, for the the encouragement when I couldn't put pen to paper, when I was feeling down, when the story that I wrote this time. It's almost like a bit of PTSD for me. These words didn't exist in those days, but it is now. I can recognize it for what it was. So I got stuck so many times while writing this. But the energy and enthusiasm and encouragement that I got from all of you, but especially from Dola, Shreyoshi, and Tista, helped me to write the story and sort of close a chapter in my life, as it were. It was closure for me. So I'm very pleased about that. And to all our She writers, a big shout out.
Absolutely. Big shout out.
I would like to say, sorry, Tista. I would like to say that unlike most of the writers, I'm very different, because I did not imagine that I would be writing and become a writer and join a group like your eminent group also. Thank you so much for accommodating me. The fact is that when I see a page and the urge to write has come, I have not, even from day one, had this feeling what to do, from where to start, what word to start with, nothing. It just comes as a flash, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then it just doesn't take me, for example, this story, Pulvanti's pediatric hospital. For example, this one, the word dare, she dares, was such a triggering effect, had such a triggering effect on me, that I knew exactly what I wanted to write, because I've been feeling so much for these children, and for when they are salvaged or when they are not salvaged. So my story just flew out of me, literally. And it was ready much before you people asked for the abstract even. In fact, I wrote the abstract after reading the story, where do I, fit in the 4 lines or 5 lines. And so it was ready, waiting. And then your invitation came to now send the abstract and now the story and all that. So I would like to say that I'm one of those lucky ones that right from day one, I'm very spontaneous in talking, in cooking, in behaving, and in writing.
What
Thank you.
amazing qualities, Shuklaji. And as we wrap up today, I'm just struck by the common thread in everything that we have shared, that resilience is not always loud or heroic. It's a quiet decision to keep going, to tell your story, and to believe that our voices matter. To those of you listening to us today, whether you're in the middle of your own grit or looking for a spark of hope, we hope these stories remind you that you're not walking alone. Our book was written for a cause, but it was also written for you. Thank you to my wonderful co-authors for sharing your words and wisdom today. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for being part of this circle. Until next time, keep your stories close and your belief even closer. Look after yourself during this very, very difficult time. From Melbourne, thank you and good night.
From India, Delhi, love you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.